What's up, YouTube? What's up, Facebook? What's going on? I got a few reports here. I just want to hold them up, and I have a clip I want to play in a second too, so I think you're going to enjoy this one. I have these two reports. I hold this up. This is like, if you're being held up for ransom, you hold it up like, hey, listen, I'm innocent. Hey, leave me alone. That's why I'm holding these up, because this is Washington Post and New York Times, and I know the people on Facebook, they hate me because I just say things that they won't say or whatever. I don't know. I'm going to read. Once again, calm down, folks. Hands up, don't shoot. This is New York Times, Washington Post. They said this, not me. Okay? We got to specify this. They said this. They're reporting this, not me. Okay? So, because they'll be like, there's vaccine hesitancy. Somebody's hesitant. They don't want to get it. They need people coming door to door. They need it now. It's like, calm down. Let's just read the headline, okay? New York Times, it says, FDA will attach a warning of a rare nerve syndrome to Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Federal regulators concluded the risk of developing the syndrome was low and that the benefits of the vaccine strongly outweigh it. Thank you, experts. I appreciate it. I like when you think for me. This is Washington Post earlier today. FDA expected to announce a new warning on Johnson & Johnson vaccine related to a rare autoimmune disorder. The agency plans to cite a link to a small number of Guillain-Barré cases after vaccination, but say the shot's benefit outweighs the risk. So they are now discovering and admitting that there seems to be a link between Guillain-Barré syndrome and vaccines in some of the vaccines. And that's why I have this video, because I actually have right here a report from decades ago from, is it Mike Wallace or Chris Wallace? I always get them confused. The father, Mike Wallace, it's a report on the swine flu epidemic and vaccine rollout. And it just is wildly similar to what's going on, in my opinion. So listen, I don't want too many of my opinions flying. We know what happens when I say my opinion. I start getting smear articles written about me. So we're going to keep it to the New York Times, Washington Post, mainstream situation. What is this one? Hold on. Can you guys read this one for me? I can't read. Hold on. Oh, let me see. Oh, it says Johnson & Johnson knew for decades that asbestos lurked in its baby powders, a Reuters investigation. Let me read that again. Johnson & Johnson knew for decades that asbestos lurked in its baby powder, says Reuters. No, that's not the right. Never mind. This wrong one. Sorry, I picked up the wrong one. You don't want to look at that one, okay? That's you got to trust the experts, okay? Don't be out here reading too much, okay? Don't read between the lines too much, okay? Focus on what they tell you to do in the moment. And I want to calm down because last time I had success on Facebook, they smeared me. I'm going to just read the article as people are coming in. This is a NPR earlier this year. It says the most popular Johnson & Johnson vaccine story on Facebook. A conspiracy theory posted it. A conspiracy theorist posted it. Oh my gosh, NPR wrote an article about me. The most popular J&J vaccine story from April, a conspiracy theory. What did I say? Let's read it. CNN, ABC, The New York Times, Fox News. Those are publishers of 4 of the 5 most popular Facebook posts about the article about the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine this week. They rank 2 through 5 in total interactions according to data from the tracking tool CrowdTangle. The number 1 post, however, isn't from a news organization. Who was it? Oh, it was me. Or a government official or a public health expert. The most popular link on Facebook about the Johnson & Johnson news was shared by a conspiracy theorist and self-described news analyst and hip-hop artist named Anomaly, who thinks the pandemic is a cover for government control. First of all, let's celebrate. There's some sort of competition I didn't know about that they were competing with each other and I won it and I didn't even know. What an honor. Okay. What did I post? Let's see. You can't even tell what I post. It's like, in this case of the post by Anomaly, a Facebook representative said that the company has taken action against previous posts of his that have broken the social media. They're not even explaining. They're not even explaining what I posted. They're trying to act like I'm this psycho who's just saying crazy stuff about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. They deleted the part last time that I saw. I posted a CNN article. I literally just posted a CNN article that said that when they took it off the market for a week or whatever, just like I'm sharing these articles. So I'm not allowed to share their articles or else they freak out. What a bunch of losers. Anyway, so that's the story of the day, is that the FDA is expected to announce a new warning on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And I just have to say, when I heard Guillain-Barré syndrome, this is not a theory. This is not something I made up in my head. I have a video to prove it. It reminded me, I'm like, where have I heard Guillain-Barré syndrome again? Because I've heard it. And I remember this news thing I watched from Chris Wallace, or Mike Wallace, excuse me, that was, from decades ago. Let's just watch it. We'll watch it and then we'll talk about it for a little bit here. I don't want the light to, you guys can see it, right? All right, let's listen.
The flu season is upon us. Which type will we worry about this year? And what kind of shots will we be told to take? Remember the swine flu scare of 1976? That was the year the U.S. government told us all that swine flu could turn out to be a killer that could spread across the nation. And Washington decided that every man, woman, and child in the nation should get a shot to prevent a nationwide outbreak, a pandemic. Well, 46 million of us obediently took the shot. And now 4,000 Americans are claiming damages from Uncle Sam amounting to $3.5 billion because of what happened when they took that shot. By far the greatest number of the claims, 2/3 of them, are for neurological damage or even death, allegedly triggered by the flu shot. We picked up the story back in 1976 when the threat posed by the swine flu virus seemed very real indeed.
This virus was the cause of a pandemic in 1918 and 1919 that resulted in over 500,000 deaths in the United States, as well as 20 million deaths around the world.
See how easy it is. Thus, the U.S. government's publicity machine was cranked into action to urge all America to protect itself against the swine flu menace.
Influenza is serious business. During major flu epidemics, millions of people are sick and thousands die. Well, this year you can get protection. The vaccines are safe, easy to take, and they can protect you against flu. So roll up your sleeve. Protect yourself.
One of those who did roll up her sleeve was Judy Roberts. She was perfectly healthy, an active woman, when in November of 1976, she took her shot. 2 weeks later, she says, she began to feel a numbness starting up her legs.
I joked about it that time. I said, I'll be numb to the knees by Friday if this keeps up. By the following week, I was totally paralyzed.
So completely paralyzed, in fact, that they had to operate on her to enable her to breathe. And for 6 months, Judy Roberts was a quadriplegic. The diagnosis? A neurological disorder called Guillain-Barré syndrome, GBS for short. These neurological diseases are little understood.
So that's the only other time I've heard of this disease. I'm not familiar with it. I remember I watched this report months ago, and I guess it's called Guillain-Barré syndrome. So there was a flu pandemic in the 70s, a swine flu pandemic, where, the government told everyone to get the shot. And this is when 60 Minutes actually reported on this stuff. Now they censor you, smear you, kick you off of television, call you conspiracy theorists, destroy your life, and try to take away your financial situation if you talk about this stuff. But I guess they used to actually cover this stuff on television. And I want to watch most of it because it gets interesting. It talks about the CDC. It talks about a lot of stuff. It just seems interesting to me. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I shouldn't know history. Maybe I shouldn't watch this. Maybe I shouldn't trust 60 Minutes and Mike Wallace, but I like to listen, so let's just keep listening.
People in different ways. As you can see in these home movies taken by a friend, Judy Roberts' paralysis confined her mostly to a wheelchair for over a year. But this disease can even kill. Indeed, there are 300 claims now pending from the families of GBS victims who died, allegedly as a result of the swine flu shot. In other GBS victims, the crippling effects diminish and all but disappear. But for Judy Roberts, progress back to good health has been painful and partial. Now, I noticed that your smile, Judy, is a little bit constricted.
Yes, it is.
Is it different from what it used to be?
Very different. I have a greatly decreased mobility in my lips. And I can't drink through a straw on the right-hand side. I can't blow out birthday candles. I don't whistle anymore, for which my husband is grateful.
It may be a little difficult for you to answer this question, but have you recovered as much as you are going to recover?
Yes, this is it.
So you will now have a legacy of braces on your legs for the rest of your life.
Yes, the weakness in my hands will stay, and the leg braces will stay.
So Judy Roberts and her husband have filed a claim against the U.S. government. They're asking $12 million, though they don't expect to get nearly that much. Judy, why did you take the flu shot?
I'd never taken any other flu shots, but I felt like this was going to be a major epidemic. And the only way to prevent a major epidemic of a really deadly variety of flu was for everybody to be immunized.
Where did the so-called deadly variety of flu, where did it first hit back?
I might skip ahead to the CDC part. So, I guess she was trying to sue the government back then. And since then, I don't know if you guys know history. Probably a lot of people don't. And you can't really report this stuff as easily anymore because they try to call you an anti-vaxxer or conspiracy theorist or all these sorts of names that don't even make sense when you understand legislation that has been passed since then. But under the Reagan era, they passed something called the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. You could Google it, just search NCVIA, National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. And it was, put in place to protect vaccine manufacturers from lawsuits like these ones, because at a certain point, who's liable for the vaccine? At a certain point, is it the vaccine manufacturer? They were trying to sue the government. At this point, I don't think you could sue anybody because they've, under things like the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, and there's something called the PrEP Act, P-R-E-P, PrEP Act. These vaccines are protected. So Pfizer has no liability. Moderna has no liability. And it's interesting because I do a lot of research, and this is just my, research myself. Like I showed you, this is, by the way, this is Reuters, okay? This is not Fox News. This is not Alex Jones. This is not Breitbart. This is not Daily Caller. This is as mainstream as it gets. This is Reuters. It says Johnson & Johnson knew for decades that asbestos lurked in baby powder. So when they did have liability for something, their track record is not 100%. This is from June 1st, 2021. I know on YouTube you could probably see it. Facebook, it's backwards. I apologize. I'll read it for you. It says Supreme Court rejects Johnson & Johnson's appeal of $2 billion penalty in baby powder cancer case. The Supreme Court rejected an appeal from Johnson & Johnson seeking to undo $2.1 billion in damages awarded against it over allegations that asbestos in its talc products, including baby powder, cause women to develop ovarian cancer. So, when they do have liability for their products, or when they are caught, not according to me, but according to Reuters, covering up the amount of information that they have about what it could possibly cause, there's billions of dollars of lawsuits. When it comes to Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, this is just a fact. They're protected and they have immunity from liability. So that's just interesting to me. It's also interesting to me. This is Washington Post as well. This is, if you guys can see it on YouTube. I just do my research. It says Pfizer agrees to pay a $60 million to settle a foreign bribery case. You could read more about that. That's just the headline. This is Justice Department. This is from the United States government website, Justice Department. It says, Justice Department announces largest healthcare fraud settlement in its history. Pfizer to pay $2.3 billion for fraudulent marketing. $2.3 billion, the biggest settlement according to the Justice Department. So some people say this is old news. This is old news. And it's like, yeah, no, I'm not claiming that it's new. I'm not claiming that it's recent. The new news is the first two I read, the Washington Post and the New York Times, about putting a warning for Guillain-Barré syndrome. This is old news, but they say you should learn history, right? I think it's important to understand that when it comes to certain products have warning labels. And, if you look at a pill commercial, there's a lot of warning labels because usually the company is liable. For the vaccine manufacturers, they're not liable. And with this vaccine, this is just a fact. This is not my opinion. This is not my theory. This is a fact that you can find on the FDA fact sheet website. These vaccines are only out to the public because they have been given emergency use authorization. If you look up emergency use authorization, it is not the same as FDA approval. And if you look up why these vaccines are not FDA approved yet, it's because I don't think they've ever done it this quickly. I think from what I've read, the quickest vaccine that they've ever FDA approved was it took 4 years. So when they tell you 2 months ago, if I were to say, hey, maybe there's a link between Johnson & Johnson and Guillain-Barré syndrome, if I were to say that, I would have been banned from Facebook. And I wouldn't have said that because I don't know that. I would have been banned from Facebook, banned from Twitter, banned from YouTube, banned from Instagram. My entire income for the most part would have been taken away from me. And they would have tried to make sure that I wouldn't have been able to do any more reporting again for the crime of being early on a story that they're breaking today. So if I were to say that 2 months ago, my whole life would be ruined and I wouldn't be allowed to do reporting. But they say it today. Why did they tell you today and not 2 months ago? The reason I believe, I don't think it's anything nefarious like they knew and covered it up. That's not what I'm claiming. I have no proof of that, and I don't think that. I think the vaccine, the mRNA vaccines and the Johnson & Johnson vaccines, I'm not saying that they're all connected to this. I'm just saying in general, they're not FDA approved. And the reason they're not FDA approved is because it takes years and it takes, effects and learning when people take it. And since this one was so new, the people who took it, you're part of the study. You're part of the trial. So now they know that it causes Guillain-Barré syndrome in around 100 people. That's not a lot, but to those 100 people, it's a lot. If your family was one of the people affected, yeah, it matters to you, especially if you were coerced into taking it or forced or, basically threatened into taking it without losing your job. Yeah, it matters. And the reason that they told you today and not 2 or 3 months ago is because they probably just figured it out. And the reason they're still figuring stuff out is because this vaccine has yet to be FDA approved. That's just the truth. That's just what it is. Back to this video, because I think it's interesting. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but I think the similarities seem very similar to me enough that I want to play it, or at least question and go over a historical thing. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, but they talk about the military and how somebody got sick and that's why she took it. But it's very long, and I want to get through to the end of it.
A few days later, Private Lewis died.
And
If this disease is so potentially fatal that it's going to kill a young, healthy man, a middle-aged school teacher doesn't have a prayer.
And I just want to be clear, the disease, I think the swine flu killed the military person, not the jab. I'm just saying that was kind of what scared her into taking it. She saw that a healthy military person got the disease, and she was scared of it.
The New Jersey lab identified most of those soldiers' throat cultures as the normal kind of flu virus going around that year, but they could not make out what kind of virus was in the culture from the dead soldier and from 4 others who were sick. So they sent those cultures to the Federal Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, Georgia, for further study. A few days later, they got the verdict: swine flu. But that much publicized outbreak of swine flu at Fort Dix involved only Private Lewis, who died, and those 4 other soldiers who recovered completely without the swine flu shot.
If I had known at that time that the boy had been in a sick bed, got up, went out on a forced march, and then collapsed and died, I would never have taken a shot.
The rationale for our recommendation was not on the basis of the death of a single individual, but it was on the basis that when we do see a change in the characteristics of the influenza virus, it is a massive public health problem in this country.
Dr. David Sencer, then head of the CDC, the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, is now in private industry. He devised the swine flu program, and he pushed it. You began to give flu shots to the American people in October of '76.
October 1st.
By that time, how many cases of swine flu around the world had been reported?
There had been several reported, but none confirmed. There had been cases in Australia that were reported by the press, by the news media. There were cases in...
None confirmed. Did you ever uncover any other outbreaks of swine flu anywhere in the world?
No.
Now, nearly everyone was to receive the shot in a public health facility where a doctor might not be present. Therefore, it was up to the CDC to come up with some kind of official consent form, giving the public all the information it needed about the swine flu shot. This form stated that the swine flu vaccine had been tested. What it didn't say was that after those tests were completed, the scientists developed another vaccine. And that was the one given to most of the 46 million who took the shot. That vaccine was called X53A. Was X53A ever field tested?
I can't say. I would have to...
It wasn't.
I don't know.
Well, I would think that you're in charge of the program.
I would have to check the records. I haven't looked at this in some time.
So you guys following this? So just from the beginning, this is just a historical report. You had Mike Wallace going through. They had a pandemic. People got the vaccine. They showed someone with Guillain-Barré syndrome. And now this is real journalism. Say what you want about this guy. Real journalism. He's cracking through this story, sitting down with the head of the CDC, grilling them. Do you see any journalists nowadays besides right-wing journalists? All these left-wing journalists are just slobbering over. It's like in a real, report, you should be able to ask questions to the CDC head, and he's not giving them a softball. Oh, trust the experts. Trust the experts. No, he's asking them real questions about things that didn't happen. I'm going to keep playing it because you're going to see as you go on, somebody comes on and alleges that they completely lied about it. Let's watch. This is not me saying this. This is a 60 Minutes report, a historical report.
The information form, the consent form, was also supposed to warn people about any risks of serious complications following the shot. But did it?
No, I had never heard of any reactions other than a sore arm, fever, this sort of thing.
Judy Roberts' husband, Gene, also took the shot.
Yes, I looked at that document. I signed it. Nothing on there said I was going to have a heart attack or I get Guillain-Barré, which I never heard of.
What if people from the government, from the Center for Disease Control, what if they had indeed known about it? What would be your feeling?
They should have told us.
Did anyone ever come to you and say, you know something, fellas? There's the possibility of neurological damage if you get into a mass immunization program?
No.
No one ever did?
No.
Do you know Michael Hatwick?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Dr. Michael Hatwick directed
Watch
the
this.
surveillance team for the swine flu program at the CDC. His job was to find out what possible complications could arise from taking the shot and to report his findings to those in charge. Did you know ahead of time, Dr. Hatwick, that there had been case reports of neurological disorders, neurological illness, apparently associated with the injection of influenza vaccine?
Absolutely.
You did?
Yes.
How'd you know that?
By review of the literature.
So
I'm going to pause that real quick. So you had Mike Wallace back then grill the head of the CDC and said, did you have any understanding of this beforehand? And the head of the CDC said no. And then you had this guy, I don't know if you'd call him a whistleblower or a worker. He came out and said, no, we definitely knew. Let's continue here. I'll roll it back just a little bit and then we'll keep it going.
Disorders, neurological illness, apparently associated with the injection of influenza vaccine.
Absolutely.
You did?
Yes.
How'd you know that?
By review of the literature.
So you told your superiors, the men in charge of the swine flu immunization program, about the possibility of neurological disorders.
Absolutely.
What would you say if I told you that your superiors say that you never told them about the possibility of neurological complications?
That's nonsense. I can't believe that they would say that they did not know that there were neurological illnesses associated with influenza vaccination. That simply is not true. We did know that.
I've said that Dr. Hatwick had never told me of his feelings on this subject.
And he's lying.
I guess you would have to make that assumption.
Then why does this report from your own agency, dated July 1976, list neurological complications as a possibility?
I think the consensus of the scientific community was that the evidence relating neurologic disorders to influenza immunization was such that they did not feel that this association was a real one.
So this is like really good reporting, okay? He's sitting down with the head of the CDC like he's Chris Hansen from Dateline, and he's like, did you know about this? And he said, no, we had no idea. And he said, well, what's this report I have here? This report from the CDC says you did know. I mean, that's like next level reporting. I got to give it to Mike Wallace. He could be a little bit, he could be a little bit shifty sometimes, but this is one of the better reports I've seen in a long time. I mean, I've never seen a report this good in my lifetime, where he sits down and, I mean, can't make this stuff up.
You didn't feel it was necessary to tell the American people that information?
I think that over the years we have tried to inform the American people as fully as possible.
As part of informing Americans about the swine flu threat, Dr. Sensor's CDC also helped create the advertising to get the public to take the shot.
Real quick, if you guys want to find this video, you can search on YouTube. I think if you just search Mike Wallace swine flu, vaccine or something, you can find it. But I want to run it back a little bit. It says he also created the campaign to tell people to take the shot. So, very similar.
Over the years, we have tried to inform.
Yeah, just search what I just said. Mike Wallace, swine flu
As part
vaccine.
of informing Americans about the swine flu threat, Dr. Sensor's CDC also helped create the advertising to get the public to take the shot. Let me read to you from one of your own agency's memos planning the campaign to urge Americans to take the shot. The swine flu vaccine has been taken by many important persons, he wrote. Example, President Ford, Henry Kissinger, Elton John, Muhammad Ali, Mary Tyler Moore, Rudolph Nureyev, Walter Cronkite, Ralph Nader, Edward Kennedy, etc., etc. True?
I'm not familiar with that particular piece of paper, but I do know that at least of that group, President Ford did take the vaccination.
Did you talk to these people beforehand to find out if they planned to take the shot?
I did not know.
Did anybody?
I do not know.
Did you get permission to use their names in your campaign?
I do not know.
Mary, did you take a swine flu shot?
No, I did not.
Did you give them permission to use your name saying that you had or were going to?
Absolutely not. Never did.
Did you ask your own doctor about taking the swine flu shot?
Yes, and at the time he thought it might be a good idea. But I resisted it because I was leery of having the symptoms that sometimes go with that kind of inoculation.
So you didn't?
No, I didn't.
Have you spoken to your doctor since?
Yes.
And?
He's delighted that I didn't take that shot.
You're in charge. Somebody's in charge.
This
is your
It's unbelievable.
advertising strategy that I have a copy of here.
Who's it signed?
All right, so here's all I'm gonna say, okay? Because I don't work at the CDC, the FDA, a science lab. I'm just saying this. 5 months ago, if you were to say that there is a possible link between heart inflammation, whatever the name of it, and certain vaccines, they would have kicked you off of social media. People are talking about Cuba. No offense. I'm so tired of conservatives. It's like you talk about Hong Kong protests and then your country turns into communist China. You talk about, Venezuela, we're going to free Venezuela. You're not freeing anybody, okay? You can't even free yourself. And your president and your politicians, the people you voted for conservative values, printed trillions of dollars like Venezuela. And now we're living under some sort of socialist, communist, medical rule where you have to wonder if you can even say the truth or speculate on factual information in a public sphere, because this country is not free anymore. So why don't you guys spend your energy fake protesting in Venezuela and fake protesting in Cuba and fake supporting the Hong Kong protests and try to stop your country from turning into Cuba, Venezuela, and China? Just a crazy idea for conservatives, but they'd rather sit on Twitter and defend Caitlyn Jenner like Tommy Lahren. What a joke. I said today the GOP stands for the Gayer Opposition Party. I just think that's funny. No disrespect to my sodomites and homosexual supporters out there. I'm just saying, Gayer Opposition Party, GOP, it's funny, okay? I'm a comedian. I'm protected under the comedy rule, but I guess I could still be canceled too. Anyway, just a funny joke to mix it in. But in general, if I were to say 4 months ago that there was a possible link between this and this, I would have been banned and stripped of everything. But that was true, and they didn't tell you about it then. So all of this new information about the heart inflammation, all of these new warnings about Guillain-Barré now, this was not an option, or at least an information tabulation that was given to the millions of people who got it. And I'm not saying that most people are going to be fine, I'm sure. And I know everyone's going to be fine. But in general, that is information that I'm sure a lot of people would have wanted, but they're not in the business of telling you everything you want to know. They're in the business of getting you in line as quickly as possible, and then they'll figure stuff out as they go along. So yeah, of course, I'm not even accusing them of what this is. I bet they didn't know. I actually believe that they didn't know that happened because it's so early. It's hard to know. Of course, anybody that's been involved in inoculations and watches history knows that it's a possibility. At this point, I think people know somebody who, has adverse effects. I do in my personal circle, just to be quite frank. I've gotten multiple vaccines and I think I'm fine, unless you think I seem a little weird or something. Do I have a tick? No, I'm just kidding. But, I'm fine. But I also do know somebody who their arm doesn't work anymore. They're paralyzed. Their arm is paralyzed from an inoculation. I know that. I've gone to protests, and these women and moms that are out protesting, they're not psychos who just sit on social media. They have a kid most of the time who, doesn't function properly anymore after a vaccine or had an adverse effect. So this idea that there are none, just go to VAERS.com. You could say that they're not all real, but it's a pretty hefty process. I know it's not 100% guaranteed, but you could look at all this stuff or just talk to people. So it's not this idea that it's the horrible worst thing in the world. The bad part, in my opinion, is multiple things. One, forcing people to get this is insane. Telling children they can't go to school if they don't get it is insane. Telling people that they can't work anymore if they don't get it is insane. Telling people that they can't go to sports games anymore is insane. That psycho lady who speaks on CNN who says that we need to make it harder for people to do this is insane. Even Ted Cruz, who suggests that he thinks mask mandates should be lifted for only vaccinated people, he's a loser and he should be shamed out of the Republican Party. Anybody that comments and gives this guy a thumbs up is part of the problem. That's the GOP, the gayer opposition party. They do just enough to wear cowboy hats and pretend like they're conservative. They fake, I'm Ted Cruz and I'm protesting Cuba. Oh yeah, you're protesting Cuba, you liar. You can't even keep America afloat. America's turning into Cuba, Venezuela, and China. You're part of the problem. You're part of the decline. And then you post a Cuban flag and people comment like, good job, Ted Cruz. It's just a circus for you guys to think that you're stopping communism as your party's adopting it and bragging about it. So in general, I'm not saying anything, but forcing people to do this is insane. And also kicking people off of social media for talking about possible alternative situations, especially doctors and people with credibility, is insane. And if you got stories right earlier, if you talked about the lab leak theory last year, like myself, I got penalized for it. And my reporting on it is, I'm not going to say flawless, but everything I said last March and April, I could still play and it's true because I'm not an idiot. I don't just say things I don't know. I speculate. I do real research. And when I don't know, I say I don't know. When I do know, I say, here's what I know. Here's the report. So all my reporting's fine. All these losers at Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Google and NPR and ABC and NBC and CBS, all of these losers, they had to go back and edit their little journalism. They had to go back and edit their fake articles and smear articles because they lied. And even though I didn't lie and I told the truth and I did real reporting, I got penalized for it. So that's what I'm fighting for. It's not, I don't care who gets what. I don't care who wants to take what risk. But this idea that we have to force take this product is nuts. It's not FDA approved. They don't even know enough about it, where every 2 weeks now, it's like, here's something. Yeah, they're learning as they go along, which there's nothing wrong with it. It's under emergency use authorization, and they're learning more about the side effects, and they're learning more about the adverse events as more data comes in of people who got it. In my opinion, that's fine. Just leave me alone and stop trying to take away my stuff, my money, my channel, my reporting for being honest. There's two sides to this story, and they used to actually report it on the news. Let's watch to the end.
This one is unsigned. But you'll acknowledge that it was your baby, so to speak.
It could have been from Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. It could be from CDC. I don't know. I'll be happy to take responsibility for it.
It's been 3 years now since you fell ill with GBS, right?
Right.
Has the federal government, in your estimation, played fair with you about your claim?
No, I don't think so. It seems to be dragging on and on and on, and really no end in sight that I can see at this point.
Real quick, she says it's dragging on and on and on. You should Google, because I can't tell you, but I Google Pfizer, Moderna liability, CNBC, and read the article about the liability. They're protected under the PrEP Act. If you are to have some sort of adverse effect, you can't sue the government. You can't sue the vaccine manufacturers. They're completely immune. You can't sue the people who spent billions of dollars to tell you to do it, your employer. What you can do is file a claim and try to get, there's a little compensation fund available, and it's not that easy to get. And it explains how not easy it is to get in that CNBC article. So read it. So that's what she was talking about then. Different situation, different set of rules, different compensation fund, but it's not an easy thing to do. And also, at least back then there were reporters that cared about you. Now, all they do is try to act like it never happened. They try to sweep you under the rug so fast because they think your real story and your personal experience is a threat to their narrative. So they know 100 people now with Guillain-Barré syndrome that they're reporting. Not me. This is, New York Times, Washington Post. They know that it's real, but your real story is like, well, we don't want people to know about that. It's a small number. It's like, well, for sure. But also, you know what else is a pretty small number? COVID-19. Look at the death rate of COVID-19 in children. What's the child death rate of COVID-19? It's astronomically low, but they have no problem fear-mongering children. Oh, it's a small percentage of adverse effects. Okay, then why are you treating children like a bunch of prisoners and animals when they're not really at risk? Very, 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 very rarely. Very rarely. It's the same thing, but one of them makes billions of dollars from them. One of them is able to establish emergency powers so they can shut you down. Anomaly thinks it's a conspiracy theory that the government uses this for control. What? Excuse me, NPR? There is no debate about that. The debate is when the government uses this for control, is it a good thing or a bad thing? That's the debate. Everybody knows that the government used the pandemic for control. Did you not see what happened from March until, September and October? The government said this is an emergency. We need to change how you function. That's not even debatable. The question is, you think it's worthwhile and helpful? I think it's completely unhelpful and completely unhealthy. That's the debate, not whether they're using it for control or not. These idiots, does anybody really read this article and say, Anomaly is a conspiracy theorist who thinks the pandemic is a cover for government control? There is no cover, moron. It's right in front of your face. It's not being covered up. They're openly using it for control. Now the debate would be the intellectual debate. Are there regulations and lockdowns and forced vaccination type policies? Is that helpful or not? The fact that it's happening is not covered up. It's like these people have so many masks on they can't see straight and they think it's like a cover up. It's a cover. There is no cover, dummy. They took the cover off. Anyway, let's watch to the end. We might as well.
With respect to the cases of Guillain-Barré, allegedly...
Former Secretary of HEW Joseph Califano, too, was disturbed that there was no end in sight. So a year and a half ago, he promised that Uncle Sam would cut the bureaucratic red tape for victims suffering from GBS and would pay up quickly.
We shouldn't hold them to an impossible or too difficult standard of proving that they were hurt. Even if we pay a few people a few $1,000s that might not have deserved it, I think justice requires that we promptly pay those people who do deserve it.
Who's making the decision to be so hard-nosed about settling?
Well, I assume the Justice Department is.
Griffin Bell before he left?
Well,
All right. Well, I don't want to get too much into it, but I do want to play another clip. This is kind of, I won't say random, but I see the two-party system. Okay, so you have Democrats who have been overwhelmingly pro-lockdown, right? They want to lock down. They want to do forced mask type policies. They want to harass you over this vaccination. They're definitely the political party that is more interested in getting vaccinated. And they're also the political party that's more interested in forcing you to get it or treating you like a second-tier citizen for not getting it. So we've established that if you're interested in medical freedom, if you think this is an infringement on your rights and you have the right to not get it and wait and see what happens and take your time, or just not get it at all, just like you're not forced to eat a certain food or take a certain drug. This is not normal. You can identify that the Democrats are the worst party, right? This is where I have a disconnect with some people because they think that there's like a Republican movement going on to like really help them and that opposing this sort of narrative and they're so fighting for your freedom. But you can see with Ted Cruz, it's like the Overton window has shifted so far in that favor that now you have a sitting congressman saying that he thinks that the mask should come off on airplanes for vaccinated people. Not for all people, for vaccinated people. So what does that mean? He's playing into vaccination segregation. He thinks you deserve less freedom in America if you don't get the mRNA shot or the Johnson & Johnson shot, which, by the way, now I believe they come with a warning situation for these things that are rare. But in general, I don't understand what they don't understand. It's like, I mean, I think I get where they're coming from, but in general, it's not just like oh my God, we're on the Trump side and we're fighting Fauci. It's like, listen, like if this is the guy that you're following for medical freedom, there's a reason you're not going to get it. This clip is just everything I've been saying and more.
I would put a warning on or something on just that particular vaccine, but I certainly would have paused it.
This is after the Johnson & Johnson pause. Trump called himself the father of vaccines and said, they never should have paused it.
I would have put a warning on or something on just that particular vaccine, but I certainly would have paused it and gotten front page news all over the world. And then people don't want it. And it probably even affects the others because, there's a big situation with a lot of people don't want to take the vaccine. Well, this played right into their hands. And they want me to do public service messages and everything about everybody taking the vaccine. And look, I guess in a certain way, I'm the father of the vaccine because I was the one that pushed it. To get it done in less than 9 months was a miracle. Fauci said it would take 3 to 5 years. He thought it was something that just wouldn't be that effective because it would take so long to get. I pushed the FDA like they have never been pushed before. I wouldn't exactly say they're in love with me. They have never. This is a very bureaucratic organization. I pushed them like they've never been pushed before, and that's why we have it. When they did the pause on Johnson & Johnson, I thought that was a very, very stupid thing to do.
Would you recommend to our audience that they get the vaccine then?
I would recommend it, and I would recommend it to a lot of people that don't want to get it, and a lot of those people voted for me, frankly.
So the father of vaccines, who is proud of pushing the FDA harder than they've never been pushed before. If you're pushing the FDA on organic fruit or something, I know sometimes it's hard to get organic labels when it's organic food. Like if you're pushing the FDA, I mean, in general, I don't think they should be pushed like that. But, for something like Noble, I would be like, yeah, that's cool. But he's playing this role like I'm fighting the government. I'm fighting the FDA for Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson because the FDA is just way too hard on Johnson & Johnson. The FDA is just so mean to Pfizer. Trump's coming in to save Pfizer and Moderna. Like he's framing it, but people buy that stuff and they're like, man, he's really taking Fauci on. It's like, I don't know. And if he just wants to bring it, but this is my issue with the Republican Party. Okay, they brought this entire thing, the mass testing, the ventilators, the PCR tests, the vaccines. It was Republicans hand in hand with Democrats who brought this all here. Okay, now that it's here, let me ask my audience, would you say that it's been rolled out in a normal manner that hasn't been intrusive or just straight up like psychotic? Of course it has. I mean, testing has gone insane. Vaccine threats and coercion and bribery and basically forced segregation and forced second-tier status if you don't get it. That's the main issue. Okay, they brought all this stuff here. Now that's the main issue. And what are these people like Ted Cruz and Trump? What are they really doing for you? Now that they've brought all this here, they've signed off on it all. They've bragged about it. They've called themselves the father of vaccines, pushed the FDA. Everyone should get it. What energy are they giving you to oppose what's happening? Almost nothing. It's like they used, if there was a scale like 1 to 100, Trump's energy to get these vaccines here was like 95. He brags about it. He's happy. He's all in. He's funding it. He's right. So it's like he gave you a 95 out of 100 energy to bring these here. And what's his energy like opposing all of the tyranny that's coming along with it now? I would say like 5 out of 100. Like he's spending 1/10 at best, 1/20th as much energy opposing it that he did bring it. And that's okay with you? Someone like Ted Cruz who's willing to strike a deal for vaccinated only people on airplanes. So if I decide that I don't want to get it, I have to wear a mask like I'm a second class citizen. And that's the Republican Party. This is why Republicans lose. And today everybody's talking about Cuba. I'm sorry, but America's not in the position right now. I'm grateful to be here. I know we still have a better economy than Cuba and it makes us more prosperous, but we're not in the position right now to worry about anybody else's freedom except for our own. What do you think Cuba's going to gain if they align themselves with America in the World Health Organization? What do you think they get out of that? What are they going to get? Some drag time story hour and some mRNA vaccines, and we're going to shove freedom right down their throat. Oh yeah, you're going to get freedom, Cuba. Just wait till you get vaccine passports, forced mask mandates, and mRNA vaccines. Oh, you're going to be real free then. We're in no position to bring freedom anywhere. Yeah, I feel bad for the people of Cuba, but you have a bunch of these, no offense, loser Republicans and loser conservative influencers who all they do is pretend to stand up for freedom. Oh man, we're really going to liberate Hong Kong. In the 2 years between you pretending to liberate Hong Kong and now, America has been more like communist China than it ever was under Barack Obama. It's gotten worse under the last 2 years. And what have you done? What are you going to bring to Cuba? In 5 years, you're going to have nothing to export to the rest of the world because America is no longer going to be desirable. And it's already starting to happen. In Los Angeles and New York City, people are leaving. The population is going the other way. Why? Because it's not desirable anymore. And the rest of the country is going to follow suit. Of course, I think like farmers and people in the rural areas, you're way better off, no question. But if conservatives don't focus on their own politicians and their own party, and they're all over the place blaming the left, blaming this, you're going to get nothing because you're being led by the father of vaccines. You're being led by the biggest funder of Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and Pfizer, the biggest cheerleader I have ever seen in my lifetime, cheering them on. That's fine. God bless those companies. I don't have anything against them specifically. I'm just not operating in a reality where if I don't want to partake in their non-FDA approved vaccine, that's a fact that 5 weeks ago, there was no warning label for my heart, whatever that's called, the heart inflammation. 2 days ago, there was no warning label on the Johnson & Johnson for Guillain-Barré syndrome. So if I were to say that 3 weeks ago, I get censored and banned for it. I don't want it. I don't want to be forced it. And any Republican who claims that they're fighting for your freedom while selling this product, which is all of them, or claiming they're fighting for your freedom while striking a deal to treat you like a second-tier citizen if you don't, with your mask policy, they get away with this stuff because Republicans love it. They love losing. They love these frauds who just speak at CPAC. I'm so tired of it. But in general, that's the story of today. Not my reporting. This is Washington Post and New York Times. Washington Post, FDA expected to announce a new warning on Johnson & Johnson vaccine related to rare immune disorder. New York Times, FDA will attach warning of rare nerve syndrome to Johnson & Johnson vaccine. 3 weeks ago, it didn't exist. Today, this is a reality. You have to ask yourself, considering that these vaccines are not FDA approved and they are learning as people go on and more people get it, what else are they going to add? What else are they going to do? And regardless of what Trump or Pelosi or all of these companies say, if you study vaccinations, if you study the history of vaccinations and you study the recent history of vaccinations, every vaccine doesn't last forever. You had I believe it was for Lyme disease vaccine that was on the market and taken off the market. There is no oh yeah, we got the cure. You can't disagree with it. And if you disagree with it, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's okay, then where's the vaccine for cancer? Where's the vaccine for heart disease? Where they don't just pop out cures instantly. It goes through phases and trials, and this is the trial. I mean, that's just what's happening. People are taking it, and things that they weren't telling you about it a month ago, they're now telling you today. Why? Either they knew about it and didn't tell you then, which I don't think is the case specifically, or they're learning as the cases come in, as the reports of Guillain-Barré syndrome come in, as the heart inflammation comes in, as the adverse effects piles up in their database and they're able to check them and research it, they at least have the integrity to tell you, oh yeah, this actually is linked to the vaccine. But it's rare, so you should still get it. Okay, you could have told me that. Oh no, you couldn't have told me that a month ago because they're learning as they go on. So that's fine. Someone super chat, 3 countries have refused it. Now all 3 of those countries presidency. I know I talked about it yesterday. It's just unbelievable. But in this country, I wanted to just report that because it's interesting. I wanted to show you guys that historical video because I find that that's very interesting as well. And the parallels are very, very similar. The difference that I see between then and here is, one, the media does not allow that type of reporting anymore. I don't know if it's lobbying money. I don't know if it's the fact that the pharmaceutical industry is one of the biggest, contributors to political parties and one of the biggest contributors to commercial. They pay a lot of commercial money, whether it's Fox News or CNN. So it seems like Tucker Carlson's the only one really talking about it. I'm not sure if it's because now Facebook and YouTube and Google have too much power and they've taken over the public sphere and the corporate control over our conversations, and they've decided that you're not allowed to talk to it. That's what's going on. They're basically aligned with these companies, and they say anybody who questions these products, you're getting kicked off. It would be equivalent to like Tesla. Do I think Teslas are dangerous? No, I think Teslas are pretty safe, actually. But if you were talking about lithium batteries and what it's like to mine lithium batteries, imagine if you got blocked off of Facebook and YouTube because Facebook and YouTube were working hand in hand with the people who were manufacturing Teslas. You can't talk about a Tesla crashing. You can't talk about a Tesla lithium thing. You can't talk about battery. You can't talk about the obvious downsides to electric over gas. Just like there's going to be some pros, there's going to be some cons because it's a different type of charging stations. It takes longer. They're not as available as all this gas stuff. Imagine if you couldn't even talk about that. No matter what you were saying, if it was true or not, you're not even allowed to have that conversation on there because we have organizations and all these sort of I don't know what they call them, but foundations and blah, blah, blah. We're educating you. It's not education. It's a one-sided story about what's going on. And there are thousands upon, I know just in my personal circle, people who've gotten sick for a week and a half, people who are getting tinnitus again and having all sorts of problems. Like, they're real. Look at, the database. I'm not going to say how many it's up to though, but they keep adverse effects. They keep deaths. They keep side effects. You read that and then you could talk about it and see what they do. But in general, it's like there's reports piling up. It's just the media doesn't want to look at it or talk about it. It doesn't exist. So eventually there's going to be so many people that it's going to be a conversation that you can't not have. And that's what's happening here. They've added 2 warning labels to different products over the last couple of weeks. Why? Was a conspiracy theorist involved? No. Reports came in, data came in, research came in, injuries and side effects came in, and they crossed the threshold that the CDC and the FDA have to have an emergency meeting. They crossed the threshold that the FDA decided this is what we do. We're supposed to regulate this stuff. And, if you look at companies, they've had issues in the past. Like, I just want to read real quick. This is the Justice Department. There's some great reports on this. The Justice Department announces largest healthcare fraud settlement in its history. Pfizer to pay $2.3 billion. I'm just going to read it real quick. It says, Pharmacia and Upjohn Company has agreed and pleaded guilty to a felony violation with the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act for misbranding Bextra with an intent to defraud or mislead. Bextra is an anti-inflammatory drug that Pfizer pulled from the market in 2005. Under the provision of the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, a company must specify the intended use of a product in its drug application to the FDA. Once approved, the drug may not be marketed or promoted for so-called off-label uses. Example, any use not specified in an application and approved by the FDA. Pfizer promoted the sale of Bextra for several uses and dosage that the FDA specifically declined to approve due to safety concerns. The company will pay a criminal fine of $1.195 billion, the largest ever criminal fine imposed in the United States for any matter. Pharmacia and Upjohn will also forfeit $105 million for a total criminal resolution of $1.3 billion. So this was 2009. Within the last 15 years, Pfizer had to settle out in the biggest, largest healthcare fraud settlement in the U.S. Why? Because their product was approved and somebody involved in that drug was giving it for uses that weren't approved. Here's something when it comes to the emergency use authorization. These vaccines, regardless of how much censorship and lying and all this crazy stuff they're doing, they're not approved. The Pfizer's not approved, the Johnson & Johnson's not FDA approved, and the Moderna's not FDA approved. And I could go to the fact sheet and you could read it. It says this may work against coronavirus. This is not a U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved vaccine. There are no FDA approved vaccines. There are none for coronavirus or for COVID-19. That's straight off the FDA website. So when you're emergency use authorized, I'm sure you're a little more protected in the sense of, well, it's an emergency, right? You're doing it as we're figuring all this stuff. They haven't approved it yet. So that's the defense of like, if you want to get it, that's fine. But you shouldn't force people to get something that is specifically authorized under an emergency that has not gone through all of the channels that it takes to get an FDA approved drug. And if it were, it would be FDA approved, but it's not. So you're going to force me to take something that you're adding a warning label to a week after, or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months, 5 months. What's next? What label is going to come next? We don't know. Hopefully none. But in general, this is crazy that this is happening. And the reason it's happening is because you have one party, the Democratic Party, who loves it. And you have another party, the Republican Party, who's pretending to stand up for you in this case, but they're not doing anything. They are allowing corporations, they are funding, promoting, they're doing pretty much everything. And then they turn around and say, hey, yeah, we're going to stop the digital passport. Well, I don't trust them. And they haven't earned my trust. But in general, I'm not an anti this or that or whatever. I know they're going to try to say that a conspiracy. I'm reading mainstream reports, and I know the history of Bayer, Monsanto. If you don't know, Monsanto is one of the bigger agriculture companies in the world. Monsanto also does like spraying and certain stuff. Google Monsanto. They're one of the biggest companies, in my opinion, in agriculture and drugs in the country. And Bayer has a very colorful history that includes World War II. And Bayer's one of the bigger drug companies. They've recently merged, and Bayer had a product. There's a whole report on it that Morning Joe did, and it's also mainstream news. Bayer had a pill that had some sort of HIV protein. I'm just going to read because I don't want to misspeak, okay? I want to read Guardian, okay? Guardian is mainstream left-wing news. Guardian, Bayer. This is straight off the mainstream. It says, Bayer division knowingly sold HIV-infected protein. A division of the German pharmaceutical company Bayer knowingly sold blood clotting agents infected with HIV to Asia and Latin America months after withdrawing them from Europe and the US, an American newspaper claimed yesterday. So that's the Guardian. That's not me. So when it comes to all of these companies, do they have this flawless track record of never committing bribery or settling court cases for bribery, fraud, negligence, just completely falsifying what they knew in order to make a profit? No, it's the exact opposite. They have done that. And Bayer doesn't have a vaccine, but I'm just saying, I've been researching this stuff for a long time. And it's like, yeah, I mean, a lot of products are good, but also a lot of products have side effects. That's why they tell you on the commercials. Have you ever in your entire life watched a commercial on television where they didn't talk about a drug side effect? I've never seen it. Every time I watch commercial, it's, if you want to take this pill, this is a side effect, this is a side effect, they don't cover it up. They don't smear you if you talk about it. They have to legally say it, or else they're probably in trouble. So they have to tell you, or else you could sue them. With the vaccine manufacturers, it's nice that they're telling us, because I don't know if they have to or not, but they're protected from liability. They have one of the sickest deals in the industry, where they're immune from any sort of lawsuits towards themselves for side effects. I mean, that's just the truth. So it's like, and then the next commercial I watch is a lawyer suing a product that they once told me was safe. I've seen at least 15 commercials. Did you use this product? Did you spray this chemical? Did you use this lotion? Did you take this pill? Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you take the product we told you was safe? Did you use the baby powder? Did you, and if you did, you're able to sue the company because we found out this was wrong with it. This was wrong with it. This was wrong with it. And this is not to point the finger at anybody, but this is why you are not forced medication, forced products in this country, or forced food in this country. I'm going to do another one. Sunscreen. There's a report recently with sunscreen. Ready? This is, let me see. I'm going to try to find January 21st. It says 7 sunscreens chemicals enter bloodstream after one use, says the FDA, but don't abandon sun protection. And then there's all sorts of there's an ad running. there's all sorts of outside agencies that are talking about, even more issues that they're asking the FDA to probe even further. I'm going to try to find that one. So let's see. I can't find that one, but there's a recent report. Also with hand lotion. Okay, I'm going to do or hand sanitizer. Sanitizer, carcinogens. I'm just going to search. This is a mainstream report from last year. Bloomberg, ready? Carcinogens found in hand sanitizers that plugged the COVID gap. So this is Bloomberg reporting. Benzene found by online quality assurance pharmacy Valisure. Some widely available hand sanitizers that American consumers snapped up last year to ward off coronavirus infection contained high levels of a chemical known to cause cancer, a testing firm's analysis found. So last year, while everybody's doing hand sanitizer 5 times a day, I wasn't using hand sanitizer. I washed my hands. Maybe I used it once, but I've always known that using too much hand sanitizer is not a good idea. It's like overrated. And what do you know? A year after the pandemic, they're reporting that there's carcinogens that cause cancer in a lot of hand sanitizers that were being used by American citizens. So imagine if you forced me to take a hand sanitizer. You have to take it. It's really good. It cleans your hands. I'm like, I'm sure it does, but also you don't know me. You don't know what type of immune response I have. You don't know what type of skin I have. You can't tell me what chemicals I put on my hand, especially when a lot of them have a cancer-causing chemical in it. So if you want to put it on 10 times a day, you can do it. If you want to get every vaccine on the market and get the flu vaccine every year and get every booster shot as soon as it's approved, you can do that. But this idea that you can treat me like a second-tier citizen because I choose to not do that, this doesn't come from an anti-scientific approach. This comes from me understanding history, watching old reports, researching what has happened over the last 50, 60 years, researching what has happened over the last 2, 3, and 4 years. And the truth about American health is, I would not say it's increasing, okay? Ask the Center for Disease Control, what were the obesity rates in 1920? And what are they now? Well, they're not controlling obesity. Ask them what the cancer rates were 60 years ago and the cancer rates were now. You used to not be able to find anybody with cancer. Now everybody knows somebody with cancer. So they're not declining that disease. What about opioids and overdoses and fentanyls and life expectancy? All of those are getting worse in the recent years. So it's not like our country is like a buzzing healthy country. We are way too fat. We are way too addicted to pills and pharmacy products. We are declining in life expectancy for the first time in a long time, thanks to, I believe, opioids and pills and overdoses and drug usage is one of the big reasons. So this idea that I'm forced a pharmacy pill in a country that, in my opinion, is taking too many, and people think this is for your health, they're closing down gyms. Oh yeah, we're trying to make people healthy, so we're closing. Anybody that cuts off your access to a health facility when your country is facing an obesity and a heart disease and a diabetes crisis, they're not your friends. They're not trying to make you healthy. Do people not know that? It's like, this is common sense. Oh yeah, the only way to make our country healthier is to keep Amazon open, keep Walmart open, keep Target open, use Zoom calls. Facebook makes more money. All the tech companies make more money. You can go to a big box store. You could go stand in line at a CVS, but you can't run your business and you can't go to a gym because it's too dangerous to work out. Yeah, we have millions of people dying from, causes from obesity, such as diabetes, heart disease, you name it. But it's too dangerous to work out right now. So I think we should just get fatter, more addicted to pharmacy products, and just let big tech take over our country as they replace human fans at Tokyo with a bunch of like AI crowd noises to make you think that the stadium's filled, but it's going to be empty. There's not going to be fans in Tokyo. People think this is normal, and you have one party that's just full blown doing it. And then you have the Republican Party that just does just enough to keep you free, but not enough to get to the root of any of these causes like testing, vaccination. I mean, what better sign of that than Ted Cruz suggesting that only unvaccinated people should be able to take off their masks? Unbelievable. And I'm supposed to care about, in Muslim countries, they're putting facial coverings on women against their will. Okay. And what are you doing in America? What have you done in the last 2 years? Are we bosoming with freedom? No, you can't even say the truth on social media. With this live stream, nothing I said was particularly that crazy, but I never know when everything's going to be taken away from me, because every time I do a report and it involves a vaccine, if I'm not just dancing in a vaccine suit saying, I'm Vinny the vaccine man and you should go vax that ass up, or whatever, like, whatever his name is said. What's the guy's name again? Juvenile. If you're not just saying that, they don't want you to say it. They're not trying to educate you. They're trying to force it into you and destroy anybody in their way that doesn't want to do it. It's unbelievable. So that's my thoughts of the day. Thank you to the FDA for being honest about, the warning label. Thank you to Washington Post and New York Times for reporting it. Thank you to Mike Wallace for doing real reporting back in the day. Thank you to 60 Minutes of the past for actually doing something other than this type of stuff. The media is at, I would say, an all-time low. It's probably always been bad, but it's worse now than ever. And they act like it's social justice and, safety that they're trying to do. But really what they're trying to do is control society to the point where disagreeing with them is a bannable offense. And what does that sound like? If you disagree with the regime in charge or an agency that, runs your food and drugs, if you disagree with them, you can't speak. That's communism, folks. So if conservatives are really concerned about Cuba and China and Hong Kong and Venezuela, maybe they should start to realize that the people that they vote for, not just the Democrats, are bringing policies of China, Venezuela, and Cuba to America. And I'll name 3 before I end this little rant. For 3 years, conservatives complained about Venezuela. Oh, Venezuela's communist. Do you know how they went communist besides a few ways? One of the reasons that their financial situation is not good is because of inflation. Why did they have inflation? Because Chavez, or whoever the leader was at the time, the communist socialist leader, he started just printing money for government programs. During the Trump administration, not just during Biden, who's printing money as well. It wasn't AOC and Andrew Yang who wanted to print this much money. It was Donald J. Trump, Mitch McConnell, and Nancy Pelosi did the CARES Act, which was a Venezuela-style printing bill. You need reparations because we locked you in your house. If they didn't lock people in, there would have been no reparations. So they locked you in your house like a communist. They printed money like a communist. And now you're starting to see communist-like inflation in this country. It's not just from Biden. That's the easy thing that Republicans say. It's Biden. Biden sucks. Biden's going to screw up inflation more. No question. Trump started it. It started with the CARES Act because you can't just print trillions of dollars. So you think you're fighting Venezuela by supporting politicians and sucking up to politicians. Oh, you can't disagree with Trump. He's my daddy. Then how are you going to stop communist Venezuela coming to America when you adapt their policies and cry when someone points it out? So you're fighting Venezuela by becoming Venezuela. You're fighting communist China. Oh, the Hong Kong protests. During March 2020 to November 2020, our country became more like communist China than ever before. We didn't just get COVID-19, we got communist China. Hey, let's establish all these, towers all over the place with the internet technology that China uses to surveil its citizens. Okay, let's do that in March. Nobody even knows it happened because it rolled out during the crisis. You're all locked inside, and the Trump administration signs the Security Act to bring that same internet connection that China uses to control their citizens. That happened during March. Okay, it's a letter and a number and a letter. You can't even say it or they'll delete your page, but I'm not saying that. I'm not even talking about health things with it. That's not my forte. I'm not an expert on that. I'm talking about it is literally used to control in China, and it got brought here in March. Interesting. Okay. And then from that point on, we've lived in this like medical communist rule. So how are you fighting for Hong Kong when your country becomes China? And now they're going to act like they care about communist China. What are you going to export to Cuba? Excuse me, Cuba. Oh, Cuba needs freedom. What is freedom anymore? What are we free to do? The ex-president's not even free to use the biggest social media in this country. Our country's a joke right now. Yeah, I'd rather live in America than Cuba, no question. But it's like your former president can't even log into Facebook or Twitter, which is where most discussion is being had in your country, and you think you're going to go save Cuba? Save yourselves, okay? Save America, and then you could save Cuba. But this idea that Cuba wants mRNA vaccines and drag time story hour and a bunch of the stuff that we're doing, oh yeah, that's what conservatives do. You got Tommy Lauren. I'm tired of everybody hating on Caitlyn Jenner. Oh, it's the homophobes. It's like, wow. From 15 years, you guys went from opposing gay marriage to crying homophobia when someone doesn't want to vote for Caitlyn Jenner. That's the Republican Party. Okay, I'm not even like that extreme in that sense, but it's like, if I can understand why your supporters don't want to vote for her, but you think it's a homophobic offense, there's something wrong with your party. Like the Republican Party is so bad. It's like, that's who's going to save you. So long story short, if you don't want America, focus on America, please. Okay. Stop pretending like you're going to go around the world and give them freedom. You're 5 years away from turning into South Africa. You're 5 years away from being as bad as communist China. You've lost more ground in the last 2 years than we've lost in the last 50 years. Focus on America, because all these ideas of freedom are slowly starting to not even exist here. So lead by example. And America's not doing that. And that's why nobody respects America anymore. And that's why China is going around the world and taking our business, because nobody trusts America anymore, because they've seen the track record of America. And no one likes American culture, because on one side, we don't even like ourselves. The Democrats hate us and the liberals hate this country. And on the right, it's a bunch of fake patriots who think they think they're so impressive with their own culture. It's like, nobody wants to be you anymore. Yeah, people appreciate our freedom. Yes, people like our energy. But in general, focus on ourselves. And in 10 years, if we have freedom and free market capitalism like we used to have, then maybe we could look around the world and say, hey, maybe we can help you. But for now, focus on yourself, because we're not that far away from Cuba, okay? We're 20, 15, 10, 5 years away from being in that same sort of system if we're not halfway there already. So focus on us. Two things I want to say. I have 2 debates later. You know I like to put my ideas to the test. So today, some kid on Twitter, I don't know his name. I'll look it up. Let me see. His name is Brian or BJC. I don't know who he is, but he's amassed a following by telling a bunch of patriots that the military's in control. And he has this theory that any day now, patriots, you're going to be rescued because Trump's going to save your life and the military is secretly running the show and they're going to save you. And Anomaly's this PSYOP agent. Oh, Anomaly's so bad because he talks about things that are in reality and I make up stupid theories. And so this guy was calling me out and crying about my tweets. And no, not Sticks. I'll talk about that in a second. This guy's name is BJC or whatever. So nice guy. You know, he apologized. I didn't apologize, but whatever. He's going to come on my Instagram live today at around 5 o'clock Western time, 8 o'clock Eastern time, I think, sometime around then in the next few hours. And we're going to have a debate. So his debate is the military's in control. And if you disagree with me, who paid you? Who paid you? Who paid you? Who paid you to say that? The military's in control, patriots. Who paid you to disagree with me? Who paid you? Is it Democrats? Was it China? It's like, no, dummy. You're a liar, okay? You got to stop defrauding MAGA moms into thinking the military is secretly running the shadow government. It's like, it's embarrassing. So I'm going to dismantle this guy on an Instagram live and, say the truth. And he's probably going to, I don't know. We'll see. So debate coming there today. Should be fun. Later this week, Sticks Hexenhammer 666. He's a big YouTuber, very big YouTuber, very big on BitChute, one of the biggest on BitChute. He's got a huge following. He also called me out on Twitter. Notice something with my debates. It's not even like me, I'm going out of my way. It's people step to me and they say, Anomaly, I disagree with you. So I step into the arena. I'm not going to say on the defense, but I'm like, this is my debate, okay? I walk into the debate. I say, show me on the doll where my tweets hurt you. Show me on the doll where what I said hurts you. Because I don't even know what you're mad at. I don't even know what the debate's going to be about. You let me know what you're mad about. You explain yourself, and then I destroy you. So that's what the Sticks debate's going to be about. I guess he thinks Trump had no part in the lockdown whatsoever, and he's fighting for our freedom. And I don't know exactly what his angle is, but we're going to debate on the kill stream. The kill stream is, I think, banned on YouTube and such. So I don't know where he does it. Odyssey, Ethan Ralph or whatever. So hosted by him, he does a good job hosting a bunch of like controversial debates. So me and Styx Hexenhammer, I think it's at 7 Pacific time, 10 Eastern time on Thursday on the Kill stream. And the reason is because I don't think Styx is in America right now. So he's on some sort of crazy schedule. He said, I'd love to debate. And Styx is actually a really nice guy. I mean, he's been very nice to me. He says he's a fan of mine. He just doesn't agree. I've always liked him. I mean, he's interesting. He seems like a super nice guy. So that should be a good debate. It should be friendly, civil, intelligent. I think it's going to be great because Styx is he's a nice guy and he's a smart guy. But I'm not, you can watch for yourself. But to me, I'm very self-aware. I think so. So I don't challenge other people to debates unless I know what I'm talking about. But for me, I don't know if I look vulnerable or people get emotional. But a lot of people try to step to me, smart people try to step to me and say, man, I really don't like what Anomaly's saying. I'm going to destroy him. And every time I win, because it's like when they step to me, they realize they're not as smart as they thought they were. So I think Styx is smart, but apparently he's not as smart as people think he is if he thinks that I'm wrong about that topic. So it should be fun. I don't know what he's going to do because the facts are on my side. History is on my side. I'm going to have 20 printouts. I'm going to have mainstream articles. And I guess he just thinks that Trump had zero involvement in the lockdown when I have facts and history on my side. So it's not going to go well for him, but he's a nice guy. And, he's a humble guy. So it should be funny. It should be fun. And, there'll be no hard feelings either way. I think I'm kind of trolling, but at the same time, I'm serious. Someone said, is Styx going to play Renegade? No, that's the rock band Styx, which are also very cool. I like Styx, the band, but should be fun. Let me see. Someone said it's because they live in an echo chamber. Someone said Zach Voorhees called you out yesterday too. Who's Zach Voorhees again? Let me see. I'll look it up. Zach Voorhees. Let me see. Zach Voorhees. I was a senior software engineer at YouTube and Google until I discovered their AI censorship weapons. Now I'm a whistleblower fighting against censorship of you. Yeah, Zach, I mean, I don't know. I guess he was a whistleblower for Facebook or YouTube and Google. What did he call me out about? Because he had reached out like a year ago or something, and he was trying to do an interview or a documentary. I don't know. I was busy at the time. So what problem did he have? Someone said Jason Voorhees' brother. What did he say about me? So I guess everybody wants to call me out because I accurately report Operation Warp Speed. It's just getting sad because like I appreciate a discussion, but people are like, Anomaly, when Trump was funding Pfizer, he was fighting Pfizer. And it's like, get over yourself. I get it. You guys love Trump. That's fine. I voted for him. But just because I voted for Trump doesn't mean I don't have a brain and I don't have eyes. I have both. So I can look up what involvement he had and what involvement he didn't have. It's not all his fault. I'm not blaming him. But this idea that he didn't have a part in the CARES Act, the emergency, the lockdown, that's just not even historically true. So I don't understand why these people get so mad at me. And I'll tell you what, people on the right, because this guy too, he tries to say I'm Democrat or China or whatever. Not Zach. I don't know what he said. I like Zach. I don't understand why he's calling me out. But in general, this other guy, they get mad when conservatives actually stand their ground. So they don't understand, but that's why conservatives always lose. And I'm just letting you know, I don't care where you stand on the LGBT situation. I'm just saying, in 15 years, the Republican Party has gone from opposing gay marriage to openly promoting a transgender candidate for California and calling people homophobic who disagree from a Christian perspective. That's the GOP. So socially, they've gone so far left that they make 2008 Obama look like, Ronald Reagan. That's the GOP. They're not fiscally conservative. They printed trillions of dollars like Venezuela. That's what the GOP did during 2020. They signed off on the printing of trillions of dollars, and they yelled at Thomas Massie for being honest about it. So I'm trying to figure out why these people think I'm such a bad person. Like, the GOP is not stopping. They're not slowing. They're not helping you that much. I mean, enough that they're not Democrats, but clearly not enough to be effective if socially, fiscally, economically, on every platform, they have lost the moral high ground to the point where they are doing what Democrats did 5 years ago, if not worse. And I come around and say, hey, maybe the conservative base should not just cheer that on. They should put their feet down and say, you guys suck and you're not doing your job. And then they want to attack me. Well, I have a problem with Anomaly. So just lose then. I don't understand what you want to do. It's like, not only do these people not want to do anything, but they think it makes them like a patriot to attack me and call me out for what? Call me out for being honest about Operation Warp Speed? I'm sorry, Operation Warp Speed sucks. I think it sucks. You could love it. I think when you give Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, Regeneron, all these companies, when you dole out this much money to Big Pharma, you're incentivizing this type of behavior. Well, why wouldn't Facebook want to lock down when they make more money and get more power? Why wouldn't these states want to lock down when they get emergency powers that they can be an authoritarian dictator? When are they going to stop testing when the testing companies are making so much money? Why? You get what I'm saying? It's like when Trump and the GOP incentivizes this type of behavior, they're not just screwing me over, they're screwing you over. So I don't want to sit here and theorize Trump is secretly fighting. No, Operation Warp Speed sucks. The CARES Act sucked. The lockdown sucked. The extension of the lockdown sucked. His leadership sucked. The fact that he said Georgia and Sweden shouldn't have opened up earlier, that sucked. Everything about that sucked. And then there were some good things. You know, I like certain things he did, but that sucks. And I think if I'm a problem to these people, everyone wants to call me out. Sticks Hexenhammer. Okay, let's debate. I'm not a cocky, or I guess I'm a confident person, but I'm not an egotistical person. I'm just a fact-based person. And I'm going to destroy Sticks in a debate. Okay. It's not my ego talking. That's just what's going to happen. He's not going to make sense. So all these people could talk about me. That's fine. Anomalies, this, talk to me. And your whole debate's going to be deflated because you don't know what you're talking about. Nothing I'm saying is that revolutionary or that crazy. I'm not that special. I'm not making stuff up. My goal is to tell the GOP, whether it's Trump or Cruz or whoever, or my local GOP guy, what you're doing sucks. Because I think it sucks. If my local GOP guy is like, oh, we're in red tier. Oh, we're in purple tier. Why are you playing along to this color-coded slavery? Red tier, purple tier. You're part of it if you're giving it credence. You should say this is color-coded slavery and this is disgraceful. But they don't do that because the GOP just loses. And not only do they lose, but then people want to cry about me like it's my fault for noticing that they just lose. Trump said he's the father of vaccines. What? Okay, cool. I don't, that's awesome. He's the father of vaccines. He thinks you should get it. That's what he said. What's my job? To just say, I think that's awesome, but he has to do that. It's like, I don't understand why people want to call me out. So I don't know what Zach's deal is, but if he wants to have a debate with me, he could have a debate with me. Just like Sticks. Today, I'm going to crush this guy in a debate. Later this week, I'm going to crush Sticks in a debate. And if anybody else has a problem with what I'm saying, I'll crush them in a debate. Because unlike other people, I'm accessible. I'm not afraid to take what I'm saying and put it against somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. So that's all people can do is talk about what I'm saying or call me out. Call out what? What are they making sense? What point did they make on my point that was just blown away? They don't know what they're talking about. They just love Trump so much. They're emotional about Trump. He's their blanket. He's their night blanket. Okay. He hugs the blankie. Blankie Trump. They can't think straight. Someone said, I come here for the truth and I stay for the hilarity. I love this guy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let me know what he said though in the comments. I'll look for it. But it's like, what is this guy now saying? It's like, what problem does he have with my tweets? Do people get what I'm saying with it's like, not only do people not want to stand their ground, but then they want to like push me back. Like, you get back in line, boy. That's what it reminds me of. It's like, they're all in line at the GOP circus. They're like, winning, GOP circus, winning, Operation Warp Speed, winning, $1 trillion printing, winning, bipartisan lockdown for months, winning, mass mail-in ballot scheme, winning, Capitol event. Oh no, we got set up, but we didn't learn a thing. We got set up, but we'll get set up again because we'll follow him anywhere he goes. Like they follow the Pied Piper. And then I stand to the side and I'm like, I don't think that's the right thing. And they're like, get back in line, boy. Get in line, boy. The only way to be a real patriot is to follow the Pied Piper. You got to follow the GOP. Ted Cruz is trying his best, okay? When he says that you should probably wear a mask if you're on a plane without a vaccine, he's doing his damn best. I mean, that's the GOP, okay? They'll give half the country their freedom back, and the other half will have to be second tiers. That's the best we can do. I mean, Trump's just printed money like Venezuela, but when he prints money, damn it, it makes so much more sense. I mean, of course, a year ago, I would have said that that's a communist socialist AOC thing, but now that Trump and McConnell did it, I mean, heck, it's just the rhinos. It's the rhinos. It's like, it's not Trump, it's the rhinos. It's like, get back in line, boy. It's like, no, I don't want to be like you people. Okay. I get it. That's what you guys do. And this is what I'm doing. Okay. So when I do it, don't try to call me out. What do you're trying to call me back to the Pied Piper line. Like I have to act like, I don't want to act like that. Who's calling me out now? No, he's calling you out too. What's he saying? Is he saying anything that makes sense or no? Or is he just saying, get back in line, boy? Get back over here to the Patriots. It's not, you're not Patriots. What are you doing? Someone said you're too defensive, man. Let it go. Do what you do. I'm not defensive. I debate. People come to the show because it's a real show. I'm a real boy. Have you ever seen Pinocchio? He's a real boy at a certain point, and then he's not. His nose grows. He goes to the island. It gets weird, but I'm a real boy. That's me. I'm a real person. Okay. I could act like I don't see it, but I see it and I talk about it. I could put on my blinders and say, I don't even see the haters, man. It's all trolls. But I like to debate. So today, I'm going to win one debate on Instagram. Later this week, I'm going to win another debate. And if Zach, God bless him, because I like him, if he wants to call me out and debate me, he can debate me too. I'm not defensive. I know what I'm talking about. So if other people want to talk about me or what I'm saying, they should be ready to talk to me, okay? And that's the difference. This has been... People call me out all the time. I want to debate Anomaly. They just lose. I get it. People look at me like I don't know what I'm talking about. Like if you're going to debate me, you better know what you're talking about. You better be right, because I'm no dummy. I'm a real boy. Okay? I'm a real boy, just like Pinocchio, minus the lies. I don't lie. Someone said, nice shirt, dude. Thank you. I'm not just a hip hop artist, a news analyst, and an alleged conspiracy theorist by NPR. I'm also a fashionista. You could pick one of these up. Actually, you can't, because it's a limited edition. And my favorite part of the shirt, it's got hummingbirds on it. Look at that. Upside down hummingbird. You know what that means? It means trust the plan. Think about it. Upside down hummingbird. I got to get ready for later debate, because he's going to be like hummingbird. Mossad. You're Mossad. That's what they're going to do. They'll be like, I've seen that upside down bird in a symbol before. I saw the Pope wear an upside down hummingbird one time in Mossad. So Anomaly is working for China, CCP. I'm going to have to get ready for that type of debate, because it's coming. The one kid yesterday is like, Anomaly reminds me of Charles Manson. I'm like, bro, shut your mouth, bro. Leave me alone. Unbelievable. My goal, people say, someone said, is my shirt scratch and sniff? It looks like it. No, it just smells good though. You know, I try to be a clean guy. I try to clean myself, you know. I want to sell soap one day, because I don't like normal soap. I like a good like organic soap and organic soup. I do like soup. I do like soap. Anyway, off topic. My goal for anybody watching, whether it's the guy I debate today, Stick, Zach, anybody who cries about me, here's my goal. I'm going to say it again. The left goes that way. The right goes that way and doesn't do anything. You like Trump because he was pushing back against the left, okay? 4 years into Trump, he went further left than the old left with all the printing and the Operation Warp Speed stuff. So my goal is to just stand still and say, I'm not playing along. I'm not marching along. I'm not clapping along. I am not impressed with what you're doing. I'm grateful that you're not Justin Trudeau. I'm grateful that you're not Angela Merkel, but I'm not impressed personally. And my goal is to stand here so our country doesn't slide into a communist shithole. So that's what I'm trying to do, okay? There is no theory. You can make up a stupid theory about who you think I work for when I don't. That's what I want to do. Stand here because I see that in 5 years, you're going to have Republicans calling you a pedophobe or something. That's like the trajectory that we're on. And I'm somebody that's very open-minded when it comes to people's right to do whatever they want in a normal environment. But, you know, the right has gone from, we don't agree with this from a biblical perspective, to literally supporting a transgender candidate and then calling the opposition a homophobe. If you support Caitlyn Jenner, I don't care. But if you're going to try to smear everybody who disagrees with her from a Christian perspective as a homophobe, and you're a right-winger, in 5 years, they're going to be calling you a pedophobe if you disagree with pedophiles. This is how little they can serve. Ted Cruz trying to segregate via mask. This is like Black Mirror style stuff. If I were to tell you this 2 years ago, you would have been like, that's crazy. But now that it's happening, it's like normalized. It's like they do it and people are like, well, I mean, he's doing his best. No, he's not. If that's his best, I don't care. So that's my goal. You can make up every theory about what you think about what I say about Trump or in general. You could twist it. You could turn it. You could say I hate him when I don't. You could say I'm mad or this or that. I don't want to turn out like Cuba and Venezuela. And the way to not turn into Cuba or Venezuela is not by posting about how much you support Cuba or Venezuela. It's by saying something to your politicians when they do certain stuff. I'm telling you, Biden is not, in my opinion, a good president. Biden, in my opinion, is going to screw up a lot of things. Biden, in my opinion, is going to make inflation worse. But I'm one of the only Republicans and only conservatives, which is pathetic because this is not some sort of crazy brain thing that I'm coming up with. It's like basic common sense. I'm one of the only Republicans and one of the only conservatives who will tell you that the inflation that's coming into play right now is not just Biden. Trump and McConnell and the Democrats and the Congress and the House signed off on trillions of printing during March of 2020. And it doesn't happen overnight. You don't print money and the next day your economy falls or your inflation numbers come through. It takes years sometimes. So when inflation hits like it's hitting now, it's not just Biden. Is Biden innocent? No. Is Biden not responsible? No, he sucks. But do you not realize that your party printed money like Venezuela? And what did they do? The left is like Venezuela. So are you. So are you. You guys printed money. It's not just the left sending you towards socialism. It's also the right. The difference is the left doesn't pretend like they're doing anything else. The right stands up there and says, they run these stupid ad campaigns. I'm so tired of them. They say, I'm a real patriot, and the radical left is sending us towards socialism. And then they themselves vote on, print out, or straight up support politicians who do Venezuela-style printing. You get what I'm saying? So that makes me a bad person. Everyone wants to call me out. It's not just the left sending you towards socialism. The right is as well. You can't do what they did in 2020. And not only are they not sorry for it, not only do they not talk about it, but they are completely trying to cover up their involvement in the socialist communist takeover of America and the printing money, which does lead to inflation. So do you get why I do what I do? Because if that you get mad at what I just said, you're part of the problem, not me. You are part of the decline of America, and simply speaking about it hurts your feelings. Like, what are you, a teddy bear? You sleep with a Trump teddy bear every night, and every time you wake up, you're like, Did someone fight? Is someone fighting the Patriots? We're the Patriots. We go around, we print money, we post about Venezuela, we become Venezuela. We post about Hong Kong, we become Hong Kong. We post about Cuba, we have become Cuba. And we're the Patriots because we follow the leader. If you don't follow the leader, you're not a patriot. I mean, yeah, I pretend to disagree with Venezuela, but when we become Venezuela, I just make excuses for it. It's the radical left. It's only the Democrats. I mean, that's what it is. We got to fight Joe Biden. It's Biden's economy. I mean, oh my gosh, if we can get Trump back here, oh man, he's going to really stop socialism. No, sorry, no. Do you see why I'm willing to debate people? all they can do is talk about me, because if they talk to me, it's not a winning battle for them. They can't compete in this arena. I know what I'm talking about. I'm funny. I'm calm, usually in debates, until I put my foot down and say something to somebody, but they're not winning. So continue to weigh in. Anomaly, did you hear this conservative influencer with a lot of followers on Instagram said something about what you said? Yeah, that's all they can do is talk about me, because if they talk to me, I would make them look like a dum-dum, okay? They only sound good in the echo chamber of people who don't know anything and just repeat the same things. It's like, yeah, cool. That's awesome. Keep talking about me. JT Cali said, I'm willing to bet serious money Biden has a dirty diaper as we speak. Love the channel, brother. Keep fighting. JT, don't talk about his dirty diaper, okay? Because when Biden poops his pants, that's a real left-wing patriot, okay? He's fighting the insurrection by pooping his pants. There's extremists all over, and only an extremist would speculate if Joe Biden was pooping his pants, okay? It's totally normal to poop your pants sometimes. And Biden, it's very relatable. Everybody knows a baby who poops their pants, and Biden poops his pants. So it's, it's like it's a nice reminder that, everybody's born and everybody gets older. Thank you, Monica. I appreciate it. I have to use the restroom soon. I have to pee really bad, so 2 more minutes. All right, so 2 debates later. Check out my Instagram. I'm going live with this guy. It should be funny. My YouTube channel, if you haven't subscribed to my Clips channel is in the description on YouTube, and my Clips channel is in the description on Facebook, and so is my YouTube channel as well, my regular one and my Clips channel. Subscribe to my Clips channel. I'm trying to do easier to make clips, shorter, quicker, stuff that's easier to share and watch if you're in a rush. That's the idea. Clips channel. Someone said, Robert said, thank you, Robert. He said, I partially disagree with you. I think Trump is our only way to stop it, but by doing what you are doing. Thank you, Robert, for the civil comment, but Trump not only didn't stop it when he was in office, he was part of it. So I appreciate you civilly disagreeing, and I'm not going to get mad at that, but you want to get back to the era of the guy who brought us here. I don't understand how people don't realize that that's not going to help us. He was in office last year, and he implemented most of this stuff that I would consider socialist and communist, whether it be printing, mass testing, and he barely talks about any of this stuff. I appreciate the comment, but this is if conservatives want to play this game, the only way to stop what just happened when he was there is to put him back there. If that is the solution, welcome to Cuba. You're going to figure out what it's like to live in China, because it's coming. But if conservatives want to realize that that's not the solution and it's deeper than that, I think we have a real chance. But thank you for the comment. Appreciate you. I'll be nice. Someone said right before conservatives decide to revolt, they will just let Trump back in so they don't do anything for another 4 years. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak on revolts and stuff, because in general, I think people should do it peacefully and respectfully. But yeah, I think most of that is true. I think as soon as conservatives start getting angry at all that's happening, they'll put Trump right back there. He was there last year. He didn't stop it last year. He didn't stop the lockdowns. He didn't stop this. He didn't stop that. And what here's the funny part. What do people say to me when I say Trump didn't stop the lockdowns? They say, well, he didn't have the power to. Okay, if he didn't have the power to, then why are you so desperate to get him back? You just admitted he doesn't have the power to stop the lockdowns. Trump's going to save our life, but he just didn't have the power to stop the lockdowns. But if he gets back in office, he's going to stop communism. Do these people not listen to themselves? They say that Trump had no power to stop the lockdown. They say that he didn't implement the lockdown. If he has no power to stop it and he didn't implement it, why in the world would you think that he's the solution when you just admitted to me that he wasn't the solution and he couldn't even possibly be the solution? But then it's this fun idea that if we get this guy back, we're going to win. It's fun to think that, right? I don't have to do anything. We don't have to do anything. Our communities, our country, we don't have to change. We don't have to be self-aware and realize that we didn't do anything. We should just pretend like we lost. And if we win, we're going to win. We lost the election and, we'll win it again because it was taken from us. It's an easy, fun thing to think about that completely takes away any awareness or accountability from what actually happened. But yeah, it's so obvious when you talk to people. It's like they'll admit on one hand that he couldn't do anything and it wasn't up to him. But then they'll then tell you that, but if we get him back, he's going to stop it. He couldn't stop it when he was there, but he will next time. He didn't have the power to, but next time will be different. It's not going to be different. It's going to be the same thing. It's so funny. Someone said anomaly. They're now talking about giving $2,000 a month stimuluses to all Americans. Any thoughts? It's communist. I disagree with it just like I did 2 or 3 years ago. AOC wants to print trillions of dollars. Andrew Yang wants to print trillions of dollars. Now the Democrats want to print trillions of dollars. And last year, the Republicans did exactly that. They printed trillions of dollars. So yeah, it's a socialist, communist, universal basic income. What happens when you print money? Where do you get your money? From the government. If you're getting money from the government, they control you. It's like if they wiped out 500,000 jobs and now they have 500,000 government jobs, now you're emboldened and you're signed, you work for the government. So, it's just like when they wipe out millions of businesses through the pandemic and all the tech companies get stronger, now there's less places to run to. 100,000 restaurants went under business, but now the big businesses and the big restaurants have even more power. So eventually there's going to be nowhere else to eat. So if they want to use capitalism to implement these tyrannical policies, you're not going to even have a small business option. It's the same with universal basic income. It's a joke. But the reason I don't talk about Biden that much is because I don't expect Joe Biden to do anything. Here's why I go hard at conservatives. Joe Biden is not going to save you, but you know that. The Democrats are not going to stop this, and you know that. AOC, nobody in the Democratic Party outside of maybe Tulsi Gabbard cares about you even remotely with the values that you care about. So now that we've identified that the left doesn't care about you, this is why I don't talk about Biden that much, because I don't expect him to do anything but that. Yeah, of course he's going to print money. That's what he wants to do. So you're supposed to, in your head, you have a guy, Donald Trump, who's on your side, right? You have this whole party that's fighting for your freedoms led by Donald Trump, who's on your side. And the only problem is all these rhinos are attacking him, but he really is trying his best. That's your theory, right? So that's why I talk about the conservatives more, because that's the only party that maybe will do something for you, but they're not doing it for you now. And they don't care at all. Tim Scott was chosen by the GOP to speak, and he bragged about printing money. That was part of his bragging speech. We printed bipartisan fashion. So you have the Republican Party openly embracing universal basic income and socialism, and you don't even notice. So I don't want to talk about Biden because I don't expect Biden's doing what he's supposed to do, which is pushing his narrative and his agenda and his government, bigger government, more control, more universal basic income. The problem that I see is not that the Democratic Party is doing what we always knew that they would do, is that the Republican Party did that last year. So if you want the country to be saved, you got to stop following these accounts that just say Biden, 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 Biden. That's all they know how to do. They point, and then when their own people do it, they attack me. And they say, well, Anomaly's a Democrat. It's like, no, you guys don't get it. You focus all your energy on the Democrats, and they're never going to help you. So I just ignore them, not because I think they're good or bad. I'll do real reporting on them, but I don't expect them to save me. I don't expect them to help me. It's going to be the right who opposes universal basic income, but they don't. Someone said, what's the solution? Hold your base accountable. It's so simple. The right printed money like a liberal, and nobody calls them out on it. People clap for Tim Scott. They defend Tim Scott. They defend Trump. They're never going to stop doing socialism because people don't even know they're doing socialism, and they clap when they do socialism. So you don't have an opposition party right now. You have a party openly doing this stuff and a party pretending to fight the side while they're working with them. That's what's going on. So what's the solution? What I just said. That's why I say it. And I'm not going to stop saying it because that is the solution. That's the only thing that's going to help you on a national scale. But there is no fight. People post Venezuela Instagram things. Wow, cool. Yeah, I get it. You're against communism, aren't we all? But what are you doing when it comes to your country? Nothing. They brag about it. They promote it. They put a thumbs up, and then they try to attack dog me when I call it out. So that's the solution. That's why I say it. So it's not because I give them a fair shake. It's because if you expect Joe Biden to do anything else but what he's doing, what do you expect? And if you don't even care that your party is doing the same thing and they're supposed to be the conservative party, that is the problem. That is the biggest problem in the right-wing base right now, is the fact that 90% of Trump voters don't even realize that he went so far left that his policies last year looked like Venezuela and looked like China and looked like Cuba. And they're not even remotely apologetic on it. Tim Scott doesn't care. Tim Cruz doesn't care. Ronna McDaniel doesn't care. Whatever that guy's name, McConnell or the other one, McCarthy, Trump, none of them care. And why would they care? Because you guys keep cheering it on. You're cheering on socialism. No, we're fighting the left. You're not fighting the left. They're making you think you're fighting the left while they literally became the left, and you don't even want to identify it because they just straw man somebody else. They printed just as much money, more money than anyone in modern history. Now I'm sure Biden will exceed them. T-Bond said anomaly is lost. You're lost. It's a projection tactic. I mean, if you can't comprehend what I'm saying, like, there's something wrong. All right, a few more minutes. What I'm saying is not that hard to understand. Denise said bullshit. This is how bad, sir. You could hold up the executive order, or you could hold up the bill, and you could hold up the signature from Donald J. Trump and Mitch McConnell. You could show them literally with factual reality. This is what they call brainwashed. It happens to both parties. You could show them where Republicans printed trillions of dollars, because it happened. Republicans bragged about, signed off on, orchestrated, passed, and then tried to yell at anybody who opposed it, a multi-trillion-dollar socialist bill. That happened. You could show it to Trump supporters' face, and they still won't believe it. That's called brainwashed. Reality could be right in front of your face. Historical facts, data can be right in front of your face, but you don't want to see it because you think you're fighting Ilhan Omar. You're not fighting Ilhan Omar. You're not fighting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You're not fighting universal basic income. Republicans did that last year. Fact, true. Fact, true. There is no truth on your side, because if you can't accept that, you're part of the problem. You allow the Republican Party to be a socialist party, but they tell you they're fighting. Ted Cruz wants to force mask unvaccinated people on airplanes, and then he posts about Cuba, and the right-wing sheep say, oh, he's fighting for our freedom. Wow, Ted Cruz is so cool. He's fighting Cuba. What a patriot. Wow, Ted Cruz is so cool. He's fighting for our freedom by posting about communism. We'll never be a communist country. I mean, heck, I can't get on an airplane without a mask, and Ted Cruz wants me to wear one if I didn't get a vaccine. But I mean, what about? That's what they do to you. That's what's happening. They become socialists, and they tell you they're fighting the radical left and Cuba. We're going to fight for the freedom of the people, the Muslims, because they can't have gay parades like Israel. I mean, that's what Palestine needs. Can you believe they don't have a gay parade in Palestine? Can you believe that? I mean, they don't have gay parades in Saudi Arabia. I mean, that's what Saudi Arabia needs. You know, they need to go to a TPUSA event and go to CPAC and listen to Caitlyn Jenner speak and realize what they really need in Palestine is a gay parade bigger than they have in Tel Aviv, because that'll show them what democracy is. If they can get enough mRNA vaccines, they need Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, gay parades, drag time, story hour, trillions of dollars of printing, and just massive crime in their major cities with, looting and theft going up. That's what they need, democracy, freedom. That's what they want, diversity. They need to diversify their beliefs a little bit. That's what's going to lead them on the right direction. So I'm going to read this again. I can't wait to debate Sticks. It's going to be like this. Denise said, Trump only did it to stop them from shutting down the country. He said he would never bend like that again. This is probably, no offense, the dumbest vaccine theory. Trump rushed the vaccine to give you your freedom. Yeah, because they were never going to do vaccine passports or forced vaccination like they're doing now, and the GOP is caving in half the states. Yeah, that would just spontaneously happen. Trump had no idea. I mean, I had an idea, and I don't even work in government, but Trump he had no idea this all going to happen. If you think you need a vaccine by Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson to be free, you don't deserve freedom. This is why conservatives don't deserve freedom. They think that it's okay for Donald Trump to play along with the lockdown, play along with the big pharma funding, play along with the trillions of dollars of socialism, and then they brainwash themselves because they love Trump so much to convince themselves that we would have been locked down for 5 years without the vaccine. Dum-dums, they're already locking people down in other countries and they have the vaccine. They'll probably try to do it again with the Delta variant. It has nothing to do with the vaccine. The vaccine's not here to keep you free. It's the next step. Well, now you have a vaccine and you lose freedom. Now you can't go to certain places without it. It's not there to give you freedom, dummies. If you think, I'm not trying to be mean, but if you think you need a lockdown and a vaccine to be locked back down from the lockup and be set free from the lockdown, you don't deserve freedom. This is why you don't have, this is the modern day conservative party. Anomaly, the only reason Trump rushed the vaccine was to set us free. I mean, I was free for 50 years without a coronavirus vaccine, but once the left wing tells me the only way I could get my freedom back is with a Moderna vaccine, I believe them. That's how stupid I am. I believe them. I don't deserve my freedom. I don't deserve my liberty. I mean, the Constitution doesn't exist because the only way I could be free is if Trump gives me a vaccine. He saved my life with a Pfizer. If you believe that, you don't deserve freedom. You're going to lose it just like you did, and you don't deserve to have it back because that's the mindset of somebody that can't figure out what's going on. My gosh. This is the Republican Party. The left does something insane. The left takes more of your money, more of your freedom, and the right wing sits there and make excuses for why it happens. Well, yeah, they're taxing you 60%, so we're going to tax you 59%. Ugh. It's like, I'm so tired of these losers. And I don't mean loser like you're a loser. I mean like either you're a winner or you're a loser. And at a certain point, if you love losing, you're a loser. So if you're going to be a loser, go to a Facebook group that says Republican losers, and you can just sit and theorize why you lose everything all the time and be like, well, Trump, the only reason he gave us the vaccine is so we could be free. I mean, my whole life I didn't need that to be free, but now I do. And now they're doing passports, and now I can't get on an airplane without a mask, and cruise lines don't work anymore, and they're shutting down the Olympics. Oh yeah, they're shutting down the Olympics so I can be free again. I mean, the vaccine really helped us. The vaccine's been here for a year and they're not allowing fans in those stadiums, but Trump did it to free us. It's not to free you. It's the next step of how they're going to use to control you. Now they have a vaccine. Now they're threatening you with it. Now they're doing things like digital passports. Is that setting you free? No, Trump sets you 30 steps back. And the fact that you love it, it's called Stockholm Syndrome. It's like, thank you, Daddy. Give me another one. Thank you, Daddy. More It's like losers. We're tired of losing, folks. If you want to lose, go to some loser's channel where they lose all the time. We're not losing here. Someone said Trump did it in hopes of getting reelected. That makes more sense than saying it sets you free. Oh, the vaccine sets you free. Oh, the lockdown set me free. Operation Warp Speed just gave me so much freedom. When Trump gave money to Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, I just felt George Washington's sweat dripping down my face. I felt Ben Franklin's freedom just dripping down my face. I was like, yes, Trump is doing this to free me. I mean, yeah, give that money to Pfizer and Moderna. That's really going to help me so much. And now they have so much money, and now they're using that money to force it down our throats and just coerce everybody because, yeah, that sounds like real American patriotism. Trump fought the deep state by funding Moderna. Yeah, I could just feel Thomas Jefferson's energy. I'm about to sign a John Hancock to everybody I see, just a big old American signature. Because what could freedom be if it wasn't just funding a bunch of vaccine companies who have no plans of letting you live like you did normally again? If conservatives want to keep saying that, but I know why they say this. It's because it's a dumb excuse because they don't want to admit their guy screwed them over. So they make up all these stupid theories, and all these stupid theories go unchecked. And then they go to CPAC and they shake hands and they wear masks and they watch Ted Cruz talk about Cuba, and then he does forced masks and they don't even notice. I get it. It's like an echo chamber. People love to pretend like they're doing something while they're doing nothing. So I see these people, they're like, I have a theory. What if Trump rushed the vaccines to save us? I mean, the only way we could have been free is if he gave us a vaccine. We would have been locked down for 5 years. You would have been locked down for 5 years? What does this say about you, the patriots of America, that you would have allowed Trump or Biden or any of your governors to lock you down for 5 years? You think the only way you're allowed to be free is if they rush a vaccine and shove it down your throat? You don't deserve freedom. With that mindset, you don't deserve it. You are the reason we don't have it. It's people like you. You think that? You think you would have, oh, well, they could lock us down for 5 years. I mean, we just got to get that vaccine as fast as possible to get our freedom back. It's like, then you don't deserve it. Someone said if he didn't give a vaccine, you wouldn't be making videos. What does that even mean? It's called Stockholm Syndrome. You guys are like, yeah, it's so obvious. You know, they were doing mandatory vaccinations and they were trying to push it in 2019 before the coronavirus pandemic, and it fell apart because they didn't have enough support. And a lot of people were standing against mandatory vaccinations. And then 2020, the pandemic happens. And instantly they have an mRNA vaccine done. And instantly they're already talking about giving it to you. If you think that this was like a Trump saving grace, that Trump just invented this idea and just rushed them to save your life, you guys don't deserve freedom. You deserve everything that's coming for America, because the only way to not accept is to be like, no, that's not, my freedom is not negotiable. They can't just hold you for ransom for 3 months, but in your head, they can. In your head, that makes sense. They just held us for ransom and Trump, got the vaccine and then we're free. It's like, what you're admitting is, I would have stayed locked down for 5 years. I'm completely helpless and useless. I don't deserve this without this. Like you're playing into their narrative. And that's why the left wins. They create a fake narrative. They create some stupid crap that doesn't make any sense. And the Republicans sit in that narrative and then make excuses for it. This is why the right has become socialist. Well, when Trump printed trillions of dollars like Venezuela, he had to. When Trump did Operation Warp Speed, he's setting us free. He took away our freedom to give back less. It's like, stop losing. Someone said, keep talking, it helps. The echo chamber needs to be shattered. It's so stupid. It's like conservatives don't even realize they've become socialists. They become communists. They've literally adapted the policies of the most socialist communist people running for the Democratic Party. They've adopted those policies. They've gone further than Obama did on certain topics, and they think that that's what gave them their freedom. That's what took your freedom. It's literally the opposite. It's literally the opposite. My gosh. It's so sad. It's so sad. I can't believe people that think that still follow me, but I appreciate it, but still. Someone said, brother, they're not conservatives. We're the true conservatives. I don't care what people call themselves. I'm just saying. Someone said, exactly, fools leading the blind. Someone said, Stick's argument against you will be the decisions that were made on a state level on Trump. Yeah, I'm ready for the debate. I've heard it 1,000 times. I thank you for the heads up, but I know what Sticks is going to say, because I've talked about this since March. I've heard every excuse, every bad theory. I've heard it all. I'm unfortunately insanely prepared for this debate because I've heard it 10 million times, and every time it never makes more sense. So someone said they pushed the 2009 H1N1 shot. I remember they would give you $50 in groceries if you got it. Yeah, did they do that to give you your freedom, KB? No, of course not. They're doing it for their own reasons. Someone said freedom had a price in 2020. This is why people don't get freedom, though. If conservatives said, no, you can't lock down. This isn't constitutional. I won't shut down my business. I won't listen to this. I won't just allow you to become a vaccine salesman. I don't think this is what it takes to be free. And the Constitution says nothing about having to rush a pharmacy product that they shove in your face in order to be free. If all the conservatives in the country did that, or even half, none of this would have happened. But instead, you have a majority of Trump patriots telling you they think that Trump saved their lives and saved freedom by rushing a vaccine, that we would have been locked down for 5 years without it. You know, I know people that are annoyed with Trump supporters as well. Someone who runs a restaurant, he didn't lock down for 1 day. Because you know why? Because he's a real man. He's not a fake patriot. He's not just sitting on the couch eating popcorn, fantasizing about Trump saving his life. He disagreed with it from a constitutional perspective. And he said, I will not shut my business down for a single hour. And guess what happened to him? He's fine. Do you know why? Because he's not a loser. He's a winner. Okay. And he won. If every Trump supporter did that, there would have been no, we need this in order to be free. That's a stupid slave argument. Like, hey, you give me the key, I'll do anything. Go ahead, print money, give me the vaccine, and I'll be free. It's like, that's what a loser does. If everybody was a winner and everybody was a real man, that's a man, not women, this would have never happened. But this is the GOP. They're like, the only way I could have been free is with a vaccine. I mean, yeah, well, 2 years later, I mean, I'm Ted Cruz, and I think there should be a mask mandate for the vaccinated only. It's like, dude, shut up. And then people think that's normal and that these people are saving your lives. This is why no one gets freedom. You know, there's actual people who just did what they were supposed to do, and none of this even applied to them. JT Cali said both parties are guilty of starting the biggest volunteer program in history of the world. It's disgusting. JT, I agree with you. I agree with you. I got to go, but it's like, you get what I'm saying? I know I get fiery, but it's like, I'm not bending over. People are tired of it. You know, smart people are tired of it. I guess dum-dums are going to run in circles forever. Someone said the gym owner in Jersey didn't shut down either. Yeah, how come we can only think of like 10 people who did that? It should have been every conservative business, but there is no conservative movement. There's a movement of people who sit on the couch, they rub their little Trump doll, and they cry when people say that printing money is bad. They cry when you talk about Operation Warp Speed and how much it, in my opinion, was whack. I don't like it, okay? And I have a reason for not liking it, because these type of companies, you got to understand, money is power. So if you can get a government contract, if you get one of the bigger government contracts, tens of billions of dollars or whatever they got, I don't know how many billions of dollars. Do you think that hurts you? Oh, he saved us? No, he's screwing us. Just like with all of this stuff he did, the more he prints, the more he sends out the testing kits, the more he sends out this stuff. Okay, you could say he maybe needed to do it to win an election, or he was trying to please left. Make up those type of excuses if you want, but you think that saved you? It didn't save you. The more you give money to these industries, the more they have incentive to do it. That's why you listen to people like Fauci and stuff, and they're like, when is this going back to normal? They're like, going back to normal? Never, you know, like we're not going back to normal. Like, why would they go back to normal? You guys cucked over for them and they got away with everything, and you make excuses for why Trump did what he did. So they're laughing at you. They know you guys are not doing anything. So they're like, what do you mean when this is how things are going to go from now on? You know, like we could do this, get more power, more money, print trillions of dollars. We get tens of billions of dollars to our companies. Like that didn't set you free. That didn't stop the lockdown. If anything, that enabled more of them. And for people that are disagreeing, I said the same thing in March, and they're like, we're going to be done in 15 days. You're not going to be done in 15 days. Okay, now it's April. It's going to end in people finally admit, oh, dude, you said that this was going to last a long time. I didn't think it would. It's like, it's obvious. You know, the more you play into it, the more they do. The more you give, the more they take. It's not like you give them stuff. This is what you think. We gave them this. We gave the left the vaccine. We gave the world the vaccine, and now they're going to leave us alone because Trump saved us. The more you give, the more they take. You lock down, they lock you down. They extend the lockdown, you extend the lockdown. They give you the vaccine, you take the vaccine. Is it over? No, they're going to continue this till the end of time. Well, you got to get a booster shot. Well, now you got to go here. Well, now your kids can't go to school without a mask. Well, now you can't go to the baseball game without this. Well, now you can't fly to Canada. Well, now you can't go on a cruise. Eventually, you're not going to be able to fly on a plane. I'm surprised they haven't forced vaccinated on planes yet. That's the next step. Is that to set you free? Trump rushed the vaccine that they'll probably use to kick you off a plane if you don't have one at a certain point to set you free. It's the exact opposite. You think it's setting you free, but it's really taking more away. The more you give, the more they take. The only solution to this that conservatives can't seem to figure out, because they're trying to theorize about, is to stop playing along and to stop justifying the betrayal of your country from your own party. They're not doing it to save you. They betrayed you. They screwed you. They set you back 15 years. They put you on the path to China. They put you on the inflation path to Venezuela, and you love it. You love it. You love when they print money like Venezuela. You love when they put you in a communist Chinese style system. You love when they give in to big pharma tyranny. You love it. So why would they stop it when you love it? You love your leader. You love it. So they're not going to stop. Why would they? You love it. You love losing. You love being lied to. You love being fooled. You love being, vaccine shoved in your face. You make excuses for it on my channel every day. Why would they stop? They don't have to stop because you love it. You're justifying it. You're allowing it. You're making excuses for it. It's like if freaking some guy smashed out 5 windows at a CVS, and I sat outside and I said, well, he had to smash 5 windows out of the CVS. If he didn't smash 5 windows out of the CVS, somebody else would have smashed 5 windows out of the CVS. He smashed those windows out because he had to save somebody inside. He's smashing the window. It's like you're not only allowing it, you're justifying it. You might as well vote Democrat at that point. It's like you're not only not doing anything, you're trying to get in the way of people who are trying to do something, and you're making excuses why your party has fallen further left than Obama. Well, if he didn't do worse things than Obama, then he would have never been free. No, you got lied to, and you just don't want to admit it, and you don't want to stand up against it. So you make excuses and theorize for why your country became more like communist China under Trump's watch, under Trump's presidency, under Trump's leadership, under Trump's vocal leadership. Your country became further communist. And it's a tough pill to swallow, but it's never going to stop because people love it. They love it. It's crazy to see how much conservatives love communism. They're like, I mean, if Obama did this, I'd be pissed off. They're like, if Biden did this, I'd be pissed off. But when Trump does it, he saved my life by doing it. The only way, if Obama did Operation Warp Speed, do you think you would have said, Obama did Operation Warp Speed because he was trying to save our freedom? You would never say that because it's not true. You only say it towards Trump, not because it's true, because you like him. He did what George Bush would have done. You think Hillary Clinton wouldn't have done Operation Warp Speed? Are you guys that betrayed? You think, oh my God, Trump rushing Pfizer and Moderna products is such a woke move to save me. Like, dude, anybody would have done that. Bush would have done it. Jeb Bush would have done it. Romney would have done it. McCain would have done it. Trump's not a hero for doing Operation Warp Speed. He signed the damn paper just like any president would have signed. If you say anyone would have done it, I agree with you. If you think he saved your life by doing what literally everyone else would have done, you think Mitt Romney would have been like, no, I'm not signing Operation Warp Speed. I'm going to go through FDA approval and wait 4 years for this vaccine because I care about the safety of our country. No one would have done that. Not a single GOP rhino, not a single Democrat. You're out of your mind if you think Trump signing Operation Warp Speed was this woke move to open the country up. Every politician would have signed it. Every single one of them. Because it's not a threat to the establishment. It's a big pharma funding bill. That's what it is. It's not like this woke thing to get your freedom back. Like, get over yourself. It's like you never would say this for any other politician. Are you guys tired of lying to yourselves? Are you tired of lying to my audience? Are you tired of losing? It sounds like a commercial. Are you tired of losing? If you're tired of losing, just stop making excuses for socialism. If you're tired of losing freedom and liberty in this country, there's a simple solution. It's called self-awareness and self-accountability. It's not sold at stores. It's completely free. All you have to do is stop making excuses for your party's decline. Well, no, Mali, I mean, 10 years ago, we actually had Christian values, and now our country is burning down churches. But, I think Caitlyn Jenner is really going to fight Drag Queen Story Hour. Caitlyn Jenner seems like a nice person. I'm just saying. It's like you guys are not conserving anything socially. You're not conserving anything fiscally. You're not conserving anything economically. And you love it. So why would it stop? It stops when people just stop loving it. It's so funny. Someone said my ass is numb. All right, I got to get up too. I do have to pee. I'm about to pee my pants. I'm about to pull a Biden and pee my pants, folks. That would be embarrassing. I can't do that on air. So God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. A debate later today on my Instagram. Debate later this week. Lots of debates going on, folks. Hopefully you enjoy them. But I'm not trying to be mean, but like I'm just not turning into Cuba. Okay, in 10 years, I'm not trying to be communist China. And if it gets to that point, at that point, it doesn't even matter. But while I have a voice and while I have this platform, I'm not going to allow the Trump base to act like all these things that clearly didn't help us and clearly sent us further on the path to socialism, that they were this secret operation that really just set us free. Like, no, this is why you get walked all over. No more of that. Okay. We're not doing that here. I'll debate people on it. I'll debate Styx Hexenhammer will probably say that similar stuff, but we're not doing that. Okay. I don't want to turn into a crappy communist lockdown country. And I refuse to lose any more ground. That's all we do is lose ground. Okay. So I'm not doing it. God bless you guys. I appreciate you. Have a good day, and I'll be back soon.